All right, everybody, welcome into the show. It is Midday Wednesday. We're timing out kind of the storm potential the rest of the day. I want to let you know what I'm thinking. It's too much to type into a post. I wanted to kind of post my thoughts, and I said, you know what? I'm better talker than I am writer. So we're going to get to this in terms of kind of an explanation of what I'm expecting to happen the rest of the afternoon. We're dealing with rain, some heavy rain, more hail in areas of Lake County right now. It's been quite a round of morning rain and storms as the models projected last night with that warm front, but that warm front is still trying to make its way through Northwest Indiana, and it's not quite here yet. So our tornado risk, for all of you that are worried, I'm getting a lot of private messages about it, our tornado risk is low right now. Just because of the fact we don't have that instability all the way down to the ground. Everything's rooted way up in the atmosphere right now, like it was with the warm front this morning. So we're kind of awaiting to see how things happen here as we go throughout the rest of the day. All right, we'll add our radar to it. As always, we want to thank our sponsors, Romans Roofing, T&T Tree Service, PSA, which is publicserviceadjusting.com, Great Lakes Lighting, FBI Buildings, Tiger Plumbing, Minogue.life, Kate Cusack for Ruoff Mortgage, and Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. This is a bonus broadcast for them and for you as well, so we can get you this information. So far, so good today. I mentioned that this morning, I'm not sold on this severe threat being a big one for us today. And again, that changed this morning. Remember, last night we were kind of in wait and see mode. And today and this morning, the way things are evolving, I'm not overly impressed with it. But it's like playing with fire, because I don't want to say that and then all of a sudden, it just breaks loose, because our atmosphere will be capable of that later today. But as of right now, there's a couple things in my mind, at least meteorologically, that are going to help us to kind of tame any severe threat. Again, in my mind, it doesn't mean it's right. It's just kind of the forecasting forecast. That's all it is. It's a forecast. It's a prediction of the future. So doesn't mean it's right. And we still need to be on high alert here as we go throughout the day. So I'm going to take you through the radar right now. We've got another round of rain. I'm going to stop it where it is right now. This has mainly been clipping over the last hour and a half, areas of Lake County. It's now getting a little bit further into the county right now. But this is what's left over of that line of storms that was out towards the west this morning. So as we zoom on in right now, we've got heavy rain falling in Gary. There's heavy rain in Hobart. This stretches basically from US 30 to the north. We're seeing the heaviest rain. Lansing, Hammond getting up into East Chicago. The Gary airport dealing with some heavier rain right now. And there's hail in the mix and also some lightning in the mix as well. We've had some prolific lightning producers. Remember, warm fronts, as I said last night, and I say all the time, warm fronts are notorious for producing a lot of lightning, and they're notorious for producing a lot of hail, all right? Those are basically the two elements that you deal with warm fronts, especially in the springtime. And we've had both. We've had a lot of lightning, and we've had a lot of hail reports out of these storms. Nothing's been too big on the hail front, but these storms have been producing some good hail. So the other thing we can look at is the hail. So I'll show you that. And you can see there is some within the system, not a ton, but don't be surprised if there's a little pea-size or smaller hail falling with this current round of downpours. Now getting into Chesterton and Portage, Lake Station, you're getting it as well. This will get up into Town of Pines, Beverly Shores, and Michigan City here shortly, all right? Nothing severe with this, just your run-of-the-mill thunderstorms there. But what I've thrown on here, and it's kind of hard to see if you don't have a big screen, so I'll just kind of explain it. You can see it with the color coding here. I've thrown the temperatures on here, all right? And you'll notice downstate, Indianapolis, down towards, I believe Derek said he was in Attica right here. He said it was 70 degrees. Notice these numbers here down to the south of the line that I'm drawing. They're all in the 70s and 60s, all right? This is where our warm front is right now. I'll kind of draw it on here. I'm not a very good artist, but that's where our warm front is right now, okay? So south of here, here's where all the instability is. Here's where tornado threat is, all right? North of it, we're still sitting in the 40s to near 50 degrees, even 30s up in Michigan, all right? We do not have an atmosphere that's conducive of big-time storms and tornadoes in the lower half of our atmosphere, at least. Remember, warm air rises, and with this warm front, that warm air is already up above us right now, so it actually gets warmer as you get up in the sky. That's why everything's elevated. There's a lot of action up there in the sky, but there's not a lot here at the ground because we're cold. We're just not there yet. And so to have storm systems rooted down to the surface, you need to have a moist and warm environment, typically all the way down to the ground. That's usually what we're dealing with. So we're not there yet. And I'm going to switch sources if that's okay. So just give me a second here to switch on over. I never do this right, but let me just take a look. All right, so we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Here we go. Share screen. All right, let's jump over to this. Okay, this is what I want to kind of analyze with you guys and walk you through here as we go throughout the rest of the afternoon. So here's the radar right now. Notice how we're getting this kind of little brand of storms moving through right now, but down to our south and the west, there's more activity down towards areas of Missouri. I still think that this is the show. It's going to take a while for this line to get out of here, but I don't see how this line gets out of here and then we refire more storms this afternoon, like some models are saying. I just don't see it. And so, in my mind, this right here, going all the way back towards Missouri, even though the frontal boundary is still just west of that, I don't think there's time to clear. So, I think this right here, going back down to Missouri, is our main show. And what I've been analyzing this morning is the temperatures, right? Those temperatures in that warm air and the higher dew points have to come north, and they will at some point. I'm still confident that that warm air gets here eventually, but I don't think it's going to be quite as warm as what the models are saying. I think the dew points will get there, but I don't think the instability is going to go as high locally. And the reason why is because there's another batch of rain back towards the north of St. Louis heading into Illinois right now. And this batch of rain, I was looking at the temperatures. That warm front in Illinois was trying to make it north, but that batch of rain back towards southwestern Illinois has kept those temperatures. They were on a steady rise, and then that batch of rain came in and it kept the temperatures where they are instead of what models and what should be happening, right? That temperature should continue to come up as that warm front surges. So basically, that rain coming at us in Illinois is still suppressing, it's helping to suppress that warm front still, which delays the amount of time it takes to get here, which delays the amount of time that we are warm and unstable as we go throughout the day. So we still have some time. Models still range all over the place. I'm seeing most of the forecasts saying that we have a severe threat all the way through 9 o'clock this evening. I think that's a little bit on the late side, but we do have to keep a close eye on these storms this afternoon because even though we have rain coming in, it's kind of delaying the onset of that warm front. Once it gets here, even the southern end of this, where you see some showers, even that could light up like a Christmas tree, and we could end up with some big storms around here. But in my mind and in my gut, I'm still favoring that we get some storms, but they're going to be mainly south and east of us. I really feel that. Again, I don't want anyone to let their guard down. I don't want anyone to think that we're not going to have severe weather. But in my mind, chances are a little bit lower here locally than they are, say, just down to our south and east. Even areas like Plymouth, down towards Indianapolis, Lafayette, all those areas I think have a much higher threat than we do locally just because of this kind of rain-cooled air and this parade of showers that continues to come in. All right, so those are my thoughts on that. So I'll show you the modeling. Whenever we look at models or computer model guidance, right, it helps us shape a forecast. And that's what your apps use. That's just how humans predict the weather. We use computers that tell us what it thinks is going to happen, and then we kind of reanalyze it, all right? A lot of people think that's being lazy. Well, the other option is going out with a weather balloon or a kite or a wind vane and trying to figure out what the weather's going to do. I mean, it's just silly. And so we use computer model guidance for that. And so first thing I do when I look at guidance is, does the current guidance match up with what's currently happening? Does it have a good picture of what's happening currently? And so we look at the radar here. I'm going to freeze it where we are right now. We've got a big chunk of rain over Lake Michigan, over us here in Lake County. And then we've got this other chunk of rain back towards Illinois with nothing west of that, all right? So then I go right towards our first model, the NAM-NEST, which I'll show you. It does not have the chunk of rain over Michigan or over us. It has some activity out towards the west, but it's more linear than it actually is. And so the NAM-NEST is already kind of off, all right? And if a model's starting off in a way, then it doesn't have a true grasp of what's going on. So we'll look at it anyway. This is not the model I agree with, but I'll show you what's possible with the HER, which I think has a little bit better handle, but it still doesn't have a good handle. So the NAM-NEST continues with this line, all right? It continues to slowly advance it through, and it develops some pretty good storms out of what is down in Oklahoma right now and Arkansas, all right? It rapidly brings those north and east, and then remember I said we would be a lot more unstable south and east of us. It brings those storms into that atmosphere and pops them pretty good, and that's where your storms are, just south and east of us this afternoon, and then getting on into the evening. And you can see everything's east of us by then, all right? So that's the NAM-NEST. NAM-NEST pretty much prevents us from having any severe weather here locally, but we're about 20 miles off, all right, which is really, really close. You don't want to play with that. Here's the HER. The HER's been really consistent in kind of what it's been showing today. Let me go to the latest run. We'll go to the 16Z. This is just coming in now. That's 27% complete. Let's see how far it goes. That goes far enough. So the HER has a pretty good read on the storms right now. It's got a pretty good read on this chunk coming out of Missouri into Illinois. So as a meteorologist, I trust this one a little bit more than the rest, right? Because it has a good read of what's happening now. And what the HER does is it brings some of that scattered activity through here from Missouri into Illinois, all right, subsevere. And then once that moves through over the next 3 or 4 hours, it starts to develop that activity from Arkansas to Illinois, all right. And I agree with that. And so the big question is, where does that go? And the HER brings it up through here locally, whereas the NAM-NES brought it a little further south and east, okay? So that is the lingering question in my mind. We're going to watch kind of this activity and the rain out of Illinois. I'll go back to current radar again. We'll watch this activity right here out of Illinois move through the region over the next hour and a half, 2 hours. All right. It should be subsevere. All right. So still more of the same as our atmosphere is trying to warm. And then what we will do is we'll watch what develops south of that. So we'll go a little bit further south here and show you that. So I'm not concerned about this. It's this down here in Arkansas and Missouri. If you're a radar junkie like I am, you're going to watch this activity here. It's once this arrives a little bit later on this afternoon that we have to see where we're at atmospherically. Between now and then, between now and 2 and 3 o'clock, does that warm front make it all the way off towards the north? If we don't get warm for some reason and we don't turn humid, our severe threat's going to be all elevated locally, and I'd be more concerned about severe just down to our south. If for some reason, and again, this is likely to happen, that batch goes through from Illinois and then it heads out, and then that warm front's allowed to lift north finally, and we turn warm and humid around here, then we would run a risk of that area of thunderstorms coming into the region and actually being able to do something in terms of severe weather, okay? So that's what I'm watching right now. I still, again, have a gut feeling that we're going to be just missing all the action here in terms of severe weather because of this rain-cooled air lasting through. I mean, we're going to be probably dealing with this till about 2 o'clock. I mean, that's wasting some time in terms of being able to heat up and destabilize. We should become unstable after that with a little area of cape, some higher dew points. We'll see how far north those warm temperatures get. But the time frame to watch would be this afternoon, essentially. So anytime after 2, between about 2, 5, 6 o'clock, we'll watch those storms. If those storms that you're tracking on radar with me end up coming up into Indiana, but they end up being south and east of us, and they're big south and east of us, I am not worried about a severe weather threat after that, okay? It all depends on where they go, and it's this part right here down in southern Missouri and Arkansas that we'll be watching as that floats north. We'll see how far the warm air gets and go from there, okay? So that, to me, felt like a really good explanation in terms of what was on my mind. I feel like I verbally spewed a lot of meteorology at you, but I hope that makes sense. Our tornado threat, I've gotten a couple questions about tornadoes, people that are obviously worried about that, and rightfully so. You know, that's the most dangerous part of storms. Our tornado threat would still be there with those storms if they came in and if that warm front went north. But there's a lot of things going against it, which, you know, should help to kind of qualm some of the worries today. And again, just big picture view, and I mentioned this last night, and I'll go ahead and answer your questions. You guys can go ahead and certainly get in there and ask any questions you want now. I'll be happy to answer those. But in terms of big picture view, locally, this is just it's spring. We get severe weather. This is going to be just a typical severe weather day. I don't see anything off the charts today. We are not in the areas of near Memphis right now where they've got the high risk, where tornadoes are almost guaranteed in that vicinity. We are not in that. We are in a risk that is on the higher side. It's enhanced, right? But overall, you know, we get this in spring. This is not out of the ordinary. Again, I feel like a lot of it's been blown out of proportion on social media. That happens nowadays, and unfortunately, it's happening more and more. So I don't want us to think that this is just a terrible day and we need to, you know, lose sight of everything that we're doing today and have anxiety and all that stuff. That's not the case. We will get through this. There are going to be some thunderstorms, at least a chance for it later today, and we'll track along with you and see where they go, okay? So let's see what we've got right now. Let's see. Oh, Michelle says, this is really frustrating. Seems like this is supposedly a live broadcast. Every time I get to it says broadcast starting soon. That's interesting. Michelle, hopefully you're watching now. It sounds like you're on a delay, so you'll need to take that little slider at the bottom and just fast forward it, and hopefully, boom, here we are talking about you, Michelle. So that's it. Yeah, I mean, we're live now, right now. We've been live for 18 minutes, and it's 12:12 Central Time right now, so hopefully that helps. Let's see. Brianna asks, any updates for Winfield to Lowell? Got to drive home later. Yeah, that's a time frame we'll be watching probably when you're driving home there, Brianna. There's no difference in Winfield to Lowell versus Gary to Chesterton. Okay, everyone's kind of in the same boat with this. That threat would be here this afternoon. It's a little bit lower, I think, than what a lot of the models and stuff are showing. But we'll have to see how we clear out. We have to see what happens after this Illinois activity moves through. So in about 2 hours, we'll be able to see how this line's behaving down towards Missouri as that moves in, and that's what we'll be watching as we go. Okay. Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of people saying, the temperatures, it's 47 in Roselawn. Michelle, you're right. That warm front's not here yet. And if temperatures stay on the cold side, all right, if they stay chilly like this, which I don't suspect, I do expect that warm air to come in, but if they stay on the chilly side, just know you're not going to have severe weather outside of some hail and lightning with the cold air. All right, everything's elevated, but I do think we warm up. Heather, great call on that. Heather says a total of 1.3 inches of rain since midnight and rising. Yeah, that's going to be one of the bigger concerns is the fact that we have a lot of rain that came through this morning. We've got heavy rain moving through now. We've got more with this system. And then we've got another one this weekend. This whole system kind of pauses. There's a big high pressure off the East Coast, and it's kind of blocking everything. It's stopping this storm. So the storm will settle in the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, and then it will come back at us Friday into Saturday, and we could have some heavy rain around here. The bulk of the heavy rain is going to be downstate. We're expecting from Ohio, southern Indiana, Kentucky, all the way down to Arkansas, a big area of 4 to 6, even 10 to 15 inches of rain down towards Arkansas because the system's going to sit, and it's going to be like a fire hose of rain all the way through the weekend. So there's going to be some life-threatening flooding for a lot of communities along, the Arkansas area, the Arklatex, all the way up towards the Tennessee and Ohio valleys. For us, we're going to get some more heavy rain, and we do have a flood threat from it, but it's not nearly as high as down south in terms of that. Let's see. Tammy says some strong winds in the Schneider area. Yeah. So Tammy, that's from an outflow boundary from the little line we have out towards the west. I don't want us to forget that we still have a windy day today. We have a lot of wind around, just general system wind as the low pressure gets going, and we've got warm air trying to make it in here. So there's that. Joni, in terms of driving to Chesterton at 3, I would not reroute your plans based on this. I mean, the odds you'll have a severe thunderstorm right over Chesterton at 3 are fairly low. Just keep an eye on the radar, but I wouldn't cancel plans on this at all. This, again, is not a blockbuster day. It's just a day where we could have some severe storms around here, and we need to keep an eye on them. So there's that. Okay. Savannah says, my husband, local truck driver out of Wheatfield, who was unloading in Lowell and said the hail and rain was intense this morning. Savannah, it was. Boy, the lightning warm fronts, as we had this morning, and as we still are kind of dealing with here, warm fronts, again, are notorious for producing a lot of lightning and a lot of hail, but they usually don't produce a lot of severe weather. The severe hail, the bigger hailstones aren't very typical with it, unless it's a summertime month. We tend to get that, but overall, everything kind of sub-severe with this, but yeah, that lightning is intense. Michelle, I would, yeah. I mean, we've got a storm chance around then, but let's not stay home and, close the curtains just because we have a severe chance today. If we had a super high tornado risk, I would say, yeah, I would stay home and probably watch the radar. But, it's not off the charts today. It's really not. So I would go ahead and go out. We could have some storms around then. And just make sure you're plugged in, turn on Facebook Live. We'll be live if there's anything to talk about for sure. Shane says, yeah, storm's terrible. Man, Mother Nature's fascinating. You got that right, Shane. We probably won't be saying that, however, Shane, next week when we have some snowflakes flying around. So there's that. Yeah, Griegers is waiting for some Jeep top-off weather. I agree. It'd be nice to take the Jeep apart, but I'll tell you, man, over the next week or so, especially next week, it just looks chilly. We settle into a trough in the eastern half of the country, and it's going to be one of those where we're going to break out of it. We really will. And once we break out, everyone's going to come out of the house. We're going to start throwing things into the ground. It's going to be great. And I mean plants. I don't mean like furniture and stuff like that. But, it's going to take its time. Patience is required here in Northwest Indiana in spring. And I think we're going to really feel that next week. All right. Let's see. Lindsay says, thank you. Been struggling to find someone that actually explains what's happening instead of showing still graphs. Oh, my goodness, Lindsay, you're telling me. That's all I see on my social feed is either bright pink things that say This, I see a lot of meteorologists that are like, I'm now up to 40,000 followers. And it's like, are you telling us about the weather? Or do you care about that? Which is interesting. And yes, a lot of people just post graphics with just a bunch of colors on it, and they don't really explain. So, Lindsay, I'm all about explaining. I'd rather explain than do graphics. So I hope that helps kind of get in the mind of a meteorologist, at least what I'm seeing as we go throughout the afternoon. Doesn't mean I'm right, but that's kind of what I'm feeling with these storms. The storm cluster coming out of Illinois right now, it has some good energy to it. There may be some wind with that as well. This looks to track up towards the Rockford area, though, but I would be curious what develops on the southeast side of that as it moves in. But there's a little energy with that. I don't mean that for tornado's sake. I just mean that for that storm could pack a little bit of a punch with a lot of lightning and more hail as it moves in. But bulk of it looks west right now. But you can see we've got a little boundary moving in with some gusty winds here through our counties, but I'm not looking at a huge severe threat right now, at least over the next hour or so, okay? Yeah, Kelly's talking about that. Some strong winds in Roselawn. That's that outflow boundary from what's going in right now. Let me jump back over to radar, Kelly, if you guys don't mind real quick. You're gonna go full screen, sorry. Again, I already had my nap of about 20 minutes from doing the morning show this morning, so I am not at my best, at least in terms of mental state here, because I'm still like in my dream right now. I always have dreams about thunderstorms. It's great. Such a nerd. Okay. All right. So let's jump back over to the radar real quick. I'm going to pop myself back up if that's okay, so you know someone's talking to you. So those winds that you guys are talking about are right here. Again, sub-severe with it, but you can see this line of storms we had out towards the west. This whole thing's kind of gusting out right now. And so we have a pretty decent little line of wind on the leading edge of that that's moving through some of our communities. And that little wind gust is producing gusts 40 miles per hour or so. Morocco's getting in it. Here's Roselawn. This is what we're talking about. Here's your little line of gusty winds. Just went through Roselawn right there. It's east of you now. Nothing severe with this, but there's some gusty winds as this whole thing kind of gushes out some of that colder air. Boone Grove heads up to you. You've got some gusty winds coming. Sometimes these can trigger as they go around the land. If they hit a hill or something, the wind can go up and trigger a storm. That may be kind of what we're seeing here with this downpour that just popped south and west of Valpo. But again, just gusty winds, and that's off of really a weakening thunderstorm. You can see how this was moving into the west. See that little line right there? That's your little wind gusts, and that will continue out towards the east. So Couts, even Valpo, Winfield down towards Rensselaer, nothing like what we saw on Sunday. But I would expect some gusty winds to roll through on that outflow here over the next 15, 20 minutes or so. Shouldn't be long till that gets to you, okay? But other than that, everything kind of weakening and fading here. A lot of action out over the lake. Michigan City, you've got a good downpour, but it's 41 degrees right now. Hobart, you've got another downpour. That will get into South Haven and Portage here shortly. And then up in LaPorte County, Springfield picking up some heavier rain. That will eventually get into Heston, then up into Three Oaks in the Michigan area. With New Buffalo getting rain as well. All right, so maybe a little small hail in that Portage storm. I'm not worried about severe from that. And then here's your activity back towards areas of Illinois that I was talking about. This is that cluster that we're watching in southeastern Illinois. This looks to mainly head up here to the north. We will see if there's any development on the southeastern side of that, though. That would clip into northwest Indiana. But I do have a feeling that we get kind of a break here over the next hour or so as that activity goes up into the Rockford area, and then we'll see what happens with that line down to the south. But I would imagine some of these warmer temperatures, now that this rain's gone, so this wind gust right here, all right, that's going to keep this warm air from heading north for just a little bit longer, and then as that fades, once this line right here gets like over here, it should be gone on radar by then, but once it gets over here, then this warm air will be allowed to flow north, all right? It's like, I don't know. I don't even know the reference for it, but it's like something keeps trying to get north and it keeps getting squashed down. And that wind gust that you got in Roselawn is squashing the warm air down still. Isn't that amazing? Atmosphere's crazy. So again, temperatures on here, if you missed it earlier, we're in the 40s north. Here's our warm front. It's 66 in Muncie. It's 72 in Indianapolis right now. It's 71 in Danville. This is where the warm air is down here, where the instability is. Here's where it's not warm yet here. But that warm air is going to try to get north. And until that warm air gets here, our severe threat is very low. All right, so this afternoon is what we're going to be looking at. Amber, same idea for you. I mean, that's our window where we could be getting some storms in here from the southwest. I think you're fine at 215. more so 3 to 4. We'll keep an eye on it. But severe weather is not guaranteed this afternoon. And again, I continue to feel like since this morning when I was looking over the model runs, I'm not overly impressed with our severe threat here in northwest Indiana the rest of the day. Just south and east of here, like Logansport down towards Indianapolis, I'm very impressed with the severe threat. They're already at 70, and they're just awaiting things to erupt back towards the west. But the big question in terms of severe weather is what happens here in our counties in northwest Indiana. And I have a gut feeling that it's not going to be nearly what they deal with downstate. Okay, doesn't mean it's right, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking right now. Okay, so hopefully that is right, and I hope that calms a lot of people down. I'm not too crazy about it. All right. Yeah, so Cassie, that's a good question. That's kind of what we've been talking about. So if it hits 60 to 70 degrees, like it says today, will there be a high risk for tornadoes? So we need to hit 60 or 70 degrees to have any risk for any severe weather here locally. Okay, it's not going to happen when we're in the 40s because everything's up in the sky. It's all elevated. That's where the warm air is right now. And so, yes, if we hit 60 to 70, which I do anticipate that warm air coming north over the next couple hours, if we do get into that range, then yeah, we have a threat for severe weather. But tornado threat is not off the charts today. In fact, I've got it rather low here in the region just due to our rain-cooled air. So we do have a small tornado risk today. It'd be more so from any line that comes in, it would be more so damaging winds and some hail from it. But again, I am not overly sold on our severe weather threat as we go throughout the afternoon in terms of something being widespread. You get further down state, I'm sold on that. I think they've got a real good chance of severe weather from Indianapolis down towards the south. So we'll see what happens, all right? But I do think next couple hours will start to warm up. We get a break as this warmer air tries to expand north. And actually, we have a report of sun breaking through the clouds in Griffith. That makes sense as that break comes in. That warm air should start coming in. Okay, Amber, you're welcome for sure. Yes, Chris, you're welcome as well. Appreciate that. Yeah, so Julie, we're not done with the lives today. I just wanted to pop in and kind of let you guys know what I was thinking in terms of the weather here, pattern the rest of the day. I'm not going to just leave you with that and say, well, good luck with the radar the rest of the day. I will be around for you. We'll pop on if there's any watches issued or warnings coming into the region. We'll discuss about it as we go throughout the afternoon, okay? All right, so get back to normal life. Everything's going to be fine. Enjoy your day, everybody. And we'll pop back on. Again, we're going to watch that activity in Illinois next hour or so. We should start to heat up. And as soon as we start to heat up, if you hit 70 on your thermometer or upper 60s, you'll know that warm front finally made it through. And that's where it could be game on for some severe weather later today once those temperatures get warmer. But that warm front is not through yet, so we're not quite there. Okay? All right, that's our midday update. Again, we'll have some more coverage here this afternoon, so make sure you stay tuned. All right? Thanks for joining me. Thanks for taking time out of your work schedule. Get back to work. The boss is right over your shoulder right now.